In this video, I'm going to demonstrate using database functions to summarize data from a table or a list range. And to begin with, I've created a new worksheet where I can put my summarized information, but I've also created a criteria range here. And database functions do use a criteria range just like the advanced filters. So on this sheet, I want to calculate the maximum amount spent by New York customers, and I also want to figure out how many Canadian customers I have. So I've got my worksheet set up, and I'm going to start out with finding out what the maximum amount spent from New York was. So under the state and province column here in the criteria range, I'm just going to type in NY, the abbreviation for New York, and then I'm going to come back to B2, and I'm going to go ahead and insert my function. And if the database category is not already showing up in your insert function dialog box, go ahead and click the down arrow and choose it from the list. I want to use the DMAX function, and so I'll click on that and click OK. So the first argument is database. And what that refers to is the table or the named range that you're going to extract the information to do the calculation with. So in this case, my database I know is named database. And then the field that I want to use to summarize the information is the dollars spent. So I'm going to type dollars spent in the field name box. And then for criteria, I'm going to go to my criteria range, and I'm going to select H15 through H16, which is where my criteria is. So Excel is, when it solves this function, it's going to go through the database list range, and it's going to look for all of the records from New York, and then it will look at the dollars spent column and determine the maximum amount from New York. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and whoops, I've got an error. And the reason I have an error is actually because of the name of this column, dollars spent. It has the special character in it, it has a space in it, so that's causing a problem. So the way I can get around that is, rather than using the column name, I can enter which column number it is in the database, and it happens to be column 10. So I'm going to type in 10 and click OK, and that solves that error problem. Okay, so I'm going to determine the number of customers I have in Canada, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the New York criteria, and I'm going to enter the abbreviations for the Canadian provinces that we serve. And so that would be Alberta, British Columbia, and Ontario. And I'm entering each of them on a separate line. Then I'm going to come back to B3, and I'm going to choose Insert Function. And this time I'm going to use DCOUNTA. So again, the database will be the database list range. So I'm going to press F3 and double click database. The field that I'm going to use is the state province field, because this time I'm simply counting. I'm not doing any math calculations. And then for the criteria, I'm coming back to my criteria range and I'm selecting the information where the criteria is stored, H15 through H18. And I'm going to click OK. And you can see that there are 3 customers from Canada. And so those are the database functions.